Hi everybody, I'm Hannah Hager, the Content Director at Call Center IQ. And we're here at the 15th Annual Call Center Week in Las Vegas. And today I'm joined by Mikko Ollila. He's the Senior Product Manager at Expedia. And if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about what the call center looks like at Expedia, maybe give us an idea of the breadth and depth of what goes on there.
Sure, absolutely. Expedia supports lots and lots of languages, lots of geographies, and lots of brands. You know, Expedia.com, Hotels.com. We're in over 20 countries. We actually have over 30 call centers. And so we have a pretty complicated, noisy operation out there. Mm-hmm. And we take both customer service calls and sales calls. And we handle roughly, up to 5 million calls a month. And we have, the size of our agent population varies a little bit, but it can be up to 9,000, on that magnitude.
Those are pretty astounding numbers compared to what average or middle-sized corporations are handling. So in an organization that's handling millions of calls annually, how do you make sure that your agents are effective and efficient and also operating in a meaningful way that you all require and expect of them?
Really that's where the technology plays a key role. Not only do we take a lot of calls, but our agents may never have sort of experienced the kinds of things that the caller, might be traveling to Las Vegas is experiencing. So through our tools, we really need to be able to convey the right information to the agent at the right time and give them kind of the right context of what is the caller talking about, what does the hotel lobby look like, or what is the experience at the airport. So really the key challenge for us to be able to have a truly scaled operation that can really quickly ramp up agents and ramp down agents based on our peak season and so forth, really depends a lot on the ability and the intuitiveness of the technology and the ability of the technology to guide the agent through the right experience.
Okay, great. Can you speak a little bit about predicting customer expectations? Since you are in kind of an industry that is very service-based, how do you think that it will evolve in the future, and what technologies do you think will emerge to meet those needs?
Yeah, and first, it's travel, and we've all traveled, and you've been in a hotel at midnight where your reservation's not there, and that's a horrible, horrible thing. So the stakes for travelers are really high. You're talking about your honeymoons, you're going to see dear friends, and if we screw that up, that leaves an imprint on the customer that is going to stick around. And so we really try to take the customer viewpoint and the customer experience really, really seriously. And so kind of the interesting thing about travel too is that as a traveler, we have a lot of context about you. We know your itinerary, we know what's happening to your flight or your hotel reservations. You might be flying into some weather that you don't yet know it, though we do. So really the interesting thing and the really challenging, exciting thing that we're trying to get to is really trying to not just have the full picture of what happened in the past, but to also take that context, everything we know about you as a traveler, and when you call, already have an idea of what is it that you might be calling about, and how do we very quickly get to the heart of how we can help you. So really, we talk about, in the future, a lot of these conversations that involve sort of multi-channel and things like that. To us, really what that means, and we are really passionate about this, we want to really understand all the work that you did on the website, and maybe on your mobile phone, and now you called and you punched a bunch of things in the IVR. That tells a complete, almost like a movie, sort of frame by frame, of why you're now on the phone with us and how we can best help you. So that kind of, the technology that's behind it is really, I think that's really going to make a difference, and for us, can really be the competitive advantage against, the other choices you might have to sort of book with. And we really use a pretty broad stack of technologies to really understand it, and at the heart of it is a ability to store data from various sources and really understand what is Hannah's next call all about. And we're building things on Hadoop, which is the open source data source system. We're using also some external third-party packages. For instance, we're using Pega systems for our case management. And also, at the core, we're a technology company, so we do a lot of Java-based development on the core tools that our agents use. So we know a lot about how to integrate to the airlines and the hotels to cancel the inventory or book new flights. So we have a Java-based tool that's grown in-house. We call it Voyager, and that's sort of the heart and soul of what our agent uses to help you out with your travel.
Going off script a little bit, but what would you tell a corporation that's a lot smaller than yours and is trying to develop a technology stack that's feasible for them, and they don't have the amount of budget or back-end abilities from their, or support from their C-suite? How would you tell them, where would they start, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think that there's a key challenge here that I think that Expedia kind of had to go through, and I think that all smaller companies will go through too, is that you're trying to grow pretty fast, and you're trying to respond to sort of this challenge maybe in this geography, and this challenge in this geography. What happened to us, we grew pretty fast, we acquired companies, and before you know it, we had over 30 different technologies and systems that we're all of a sudden facing, and it becomes really, really hard to maintain. At the same time, there was a reason why we did it. We were nimble and we were responding to different challenges, just like a small company would. Maybe for a small startup or maybe a growing company, it's cheaper just to get this system up and running on Excel over here, and we'll worry about it later on integrating it. And so really, once that happened to us, we had to embark on a massive, really difficult project to really consolidate all our tools and bring it to one platform that actually now can be both nimble enough to serve all the different sort of variety of brands and geographies, and also be scaled enough so it can be efficient in terms of maintenance. So I guess the advice, that from our experience is be nimble, be opportunistic, because you have to be, right. But also keep it in the back of your mind that there will be a day when you might have to pay a price for it if you don't keep yourself in check and allow your sort of tools to proliferate into an uncontrollable fashion.
Great point, thank you. So what are switching gears a little bit, what are some of your tips for improving employee productivity and performance using your technologies?
Yeah, that's a great question. And one of the key things, and probably the key thing that we found, is that it's one thing to build new features and put new cool stuff into the stuff that you release to the agent. It's really key, and another thing to really deliver it in a way that actually makes sense to the agent. It's really easy. We've actually had some instances where for, several months, even up to a year, some of the features we released go completely unused. And the productivity of the employees does not really increase simply because they were never in a position to learn, how to use it. So really, pairing up the training and the delivery of new software, new systems that agents use is just as important as the tool itself. And so that's kind of a lesson we've learned the hard way, and so we want to not learn again. So that's something that you can do. That's something that you should keep your eye on.
Great. So there's been a lot of chatter at the conference about the future of customer experience and how a lot of call centers are realizing that customer is king and customer is your CEO. So in the future, for 2015 and beyond, what do you think the customer experience will look like?
I think that, we talked a lot about sort of the one-to-one communication with the customer, right? Everybody's special. Nobody wants to be treated like the next person because none of us are the same. Mm-hmm. And kind of what's really interesting and exciting, at least to me, about what's happening right now is not just the cool mobile technologies we have to communicate, but it's also the change in the customer expectation that you as a brand, me as Expedia, I'm supposed to have a one-on-one conversation with you. And it's okay for me to know you from all the different ways you converse with me. It's okay that if you gave me a piece of information on the website and now you're calling me on the phone, it's okay and even expected that I know that information and I'm actually using that to help you. Mm-hmm. That change, I think, in the customer mindset over the past couple of years and going into the future, I think has a huge impact on how we're sort of allowing ourselves to interact with the customers and make those interactions truly sort of more specialized and tailored one-to-one. At the same time, we're dealing with millions and millions of customers. And really all this technology that we've been talking about really gives us the capability to do millions of calls and make each of those calls sort of tailored to each customer, because we have all the different analytics behind it to really tailor that call and feed it up to the agents in a way that they can respond to.
Perfect. Anything else to add?
No, it's been great here at Call Center Week. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.